Hi, my name is Ivy, and I will be giving you guys a 4-H public speaking workshop today. So just a little introduction. I am your guys' Northwest 4-H ambassador, and this is my 12th year with being with 4-H. So I have lots of experience when it comes to public speaking, emceeing, doing speeches and presentations. I've done both. And just letting everybody know, if you're nervous about public speaking, it's scary for everyone. I still get nervous from time to time, but it does get better when it comes to getting the right tips and practicing, which is what I hope to give you guys today. All right, so first thing we're going to start off with is starting now. So it's really good to think early about topics and ideas. I'm filming this kind of towards the end of November, and it's a really good idea to start thinking of your topics that you want to choose to do for your speech or presentation about a month or two before your club public speaking. Sometimes it's hard to pick a topic, so if you have a couple in mind, you should pick your top 3, your top 2, and write down as many ideas as you can think about those. And whatever one you can think of more ideas for is the one you should choose, because it's just gonna flow better, and it's just writing it's gonna come easier to you. Next thing is to think of age-appropriate topics. We'll talk about this later on in the presentation, but essentially this means picking a topic that is right for your difficulty level of age. And then last is to choose a topic you have interest or passion in. And this is most important because you want to make public speaking as fun as possible for yourself. And so why would you talk about something you don't enjoy? And the judges can really see when you guys are talking about something you have passion in or that you really get excited about. So why not let yourself show that you enjoy public speaking if you're talking about something that you like? All right, so now we're just going to talk about the differences between speeches and presentations. And you guys can feel free to, write any of this down or copy this presentation down and record all the tips and everything. So for speeches, you'll have cue cards. So you just read off your cue cards, and those kind of fizzle out depending on what age level and what division you're in. You have no visuals. So like I said, it's just you, your cue cards, the audience. Body language for public speak. It's important for both presentations and speeches, but because you have no other visuals or anybody else on stage to kind of communicate with, body language is a great way, whether it's using your hands, emphasizing a point you're making, or kind of like rotating yourself towards the audience so that everyone can see you. It just conveys just a better sense of yourself to the judges and the audience. And your voice, so by this I mean about projecting your voice. So sometimes you're not always going to have a microphone, and if you don't like having a microphone, then you really have to learn how to project your voice. And what I mean by that is you want to be able to make sure that the person in the very back of the room can hear you. So that's not necessarily yelling, but it's learning how to make your voice travel so that everybody can hear your awesome speech. For speeches, you do have to present by yourself. So that's kind of a preference thing. And then this is something I was always told when I was younger, is you want to have your feet planted into the ground like roots. So when you're doing your speech, you don't want to be walking around the stage or fiddling with your feet, because it conveys to the judges that you're really nervous and uncomfortable. And that's not what you want to see up while you're presenting or speaking. You want to make sure you look confident and like you're ready to be there. So you want to stand nice and straight. So that's what I mean. Other parts of your body can move, just not your feet. And then for speeches, you have to do an impromptu speech, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. For presentations, you guys can do vision boards, you can use props, you can present with a partner or two. You can do a slideshow like I'm doing right here. You don't necessarily have to do a demonstration or anything. You can kind of do a presentation like I'm doing here today. You have the opportunity to move around more. So if you have things on a table in front of you, you can kind of go and move from one side of the table to the other, but this isn't like an excuse to fiddle around. No spelling mistakes. So like I said, if you're doing a presentation like me, or if you do have something written on a piece of paper, you gotta make sure everything's clean and precise and that nothing is not gonna make sense to the rest of the audience. Whether if you have a speech, you can write little notes to yourself that maybe only you understand, but for when you're doing a presentation, it has to make sense to everybody. And then presentation, you don't have to do an impromptu speech, but you do have to answer a question from the judges at the end of so all the judges kind of think of one question to ask you about your speech. And so that's kind of difficult for some people because you got to think on the spot and answer right then and there. And then lastly, like I said, you can present with other people, and these other people can be siblings, even if you're not in the same age category. Only thing with this is that if you have like a junior and an intermediate member presenting together, you have to present at the highest members level. So then you'd have to present at intermediate level. All right, levels. So we have our juniors, which are 9 to 11-year-olds. These are pretty vague. We'll go into rules a little bit later, but these are kind of the basic things you need to know. So speech is 3 to 5 minutes long, and impromptu is 1 to 2. And then your guys' presentations last 4 to 8 minutes. And with juniors, you can have a bit of help. You can have cues to help you, and you can have certain things help you on stage. Intermediate members are 12 to 14, and these speeches have to be between 3 to 5 minutes long. Impromptus have to be 1 to 2. Presentations are 6 to 8. And with intermediate members, cue cards should kind of just be a safety net kind of after after districts. And if you go to regionals, you can have them, but try not to use them. With cue cards, it kind of just really shows how independent and how you can memorize things, and it shows initiative, and it kind of it can really set you between first and second place. And then our seniors speeches are 4 to 6 minutes, impromptus again are 1 to 2. Sometimes that varies between regions. That's what it is in the Northwest region, and at provincials, sometimes it could be 2 to 3 minutes. And then presentations are 8 to 10 minutes. And then your cue card should fade kind of after club level, because that's when competition starts to really kind of kick up, and it really want to be doing your best and succeed. You really want to make sure that you're memorizing and not using those cue cards as an aid so much. All right, I talked about this quite a bit. Rules. So the 2022 public speaking for rules for speeches and presentations are out. I believe you can get them on the 4-H Alberta page now. They should have been sent out to your clubs as well. But these go really into depth about certain specific rules for speeches and presentations and what to expect kind of for day of and what to do with your references and quotes. And it goes really into detail about what kind of things you can do and what things you can't do. So I really recommend that you take a look at these so that you make sure that you got everything right for the day of and that you're not gonna be missing anything. All right, so I talked about this at the very beginning, age-appropriate topics. For juniors, it's pretty relaxed. You can kind of talk about easy things here, like, again, you can pause and read what I have written here. But, you know, my pet, my vacation, something they're very familiar with and that they're going to be very comfortable talking about. And that just comes easier to juniors, and it flows a lot easier out of them when they know what they're talking about and they're happy or they are very comfortable with it. Sorry, you guys, I'm kind of sick right now. All right, for intermediate members, I'm kind of cutting this off. So this is he kind of amps up again, as you'd expect from juniors. You guys have now kind of entered your tween teenage years, so things kind of become more amped up. So these are the things I've done or that I've seen other people do. So like my job, benefits of, research, movies. You guys can do a lot of stuff you kind of learned in school. This is where you can add facts and research, and you can kind of add little more important things into your speech. And then seniors, this is where you guys are now teenagers, you're in high school, or you're adults like myself, and you guys know how to write essays, position papers, and stuff like that. And so this is where your topics can become more, intricate, mature. You add a lot of research, and when you add research and points and facts, it really backs up the point you're trying to make, whatever point you're trying to make in your speech, and it shows the judges that you really understand what you're talking about. And so these are things, again, I've done or seen, these are things that you can talk a lot about, or things that, will really show the judges that you have an amped up idea of competition and self-awareness within your speech. And then things that'll give you kind of an edge at any level. Like I talked about this before, voice projection. So making sure you can let everybody hear what you're saying. That's really important. And the judges do notice that, even though they're at the very front of the room. Smile with your eyes. So I've kind of been doing this throughout the presentation. I know it seems hard, but you want to make sure your face looks light and happy, and that you enjoy talking to the judges, and you're happy about what you're talking about, and that you want to be there. And so that's something that really kind of is a part of body language too. And so body language, like I said, when you're making your points, count your fingers, or you use your hands to emphasis certain points, and you can kind of move your body around, make sure you're talking to the whole room, not just one person in front of you. And last but definitely not least is to try and do your best. It doesn't matter if you get first or if you get last, it doesn't matter, but as long as you guys try your very best when you're public speaking, that's all that matters. Public speaking is hard for everybody, and not everybody gets it right on the first try. So as long as you try your best, you will get better, and that's all that matters to us in the end. All right, how to dress. This is just some tips. So for public speaking, you kind of want to go for semi-formal wear, and I don't mean wear your best suit and tie and you don't have to wear a dress, but you don't want to look like you're about to go out and do chores right after you're done public speaking. You want to kind of look nice and professional and put together in front of the judges while you're presenting. Costumes, this kind of depends if it relates to what you're talking about. This probably is more for, juniors and intermediate. Seniors, use your discretion, I guess. But, you can do that. I've seen people do it in the past, but make sure you don't wear or have anything up there on stage that's going to be really shiny or just distract the judges from you while you're talking. And then backup clothes. This is a personal tip from personal experience. I've gone to regional public speaking and ripped my shirt, and I'm a messy person. I've also spilt on a white shirt I was wearing, but thankfully my mom was smart and she brought spare clothes for me. So that's just a little tip I have for you guys, is bring backup clothes, because you never can be too prepared. And then tie it back. For our individuals that have longer hair, I kind of have short hair right now, but when you do have longer hair, you guys know it gets in your face, and the judges don't want to see you pulling hair out of your face or playing with your hair. So when you're on stage, if you want to put in a ponytail like I have here, if you want to take bobby pins or barrettes and pin your front pieces back and have it down, just as long as you don't have it in your face, the judges want to see your guys' beautiful faces, and they want to see you guys present and not be distracted with your hair. All right, and last, I think this is the last slide. Again, just reiterating, public speaking is stressful, and that is normal for everybody. So my last tip for you guys is to practice, practice, practice. Whether you're practicing to your mom and dad, your siblings, your friends, your teachers, your cat, your dog, your horse, your cow, your stuffed animal, to yourself in the mirror, to if you want to record yourself and look back at it afterwards. That is the most important thing I can, preach to you guys, is to practice, because practice makes improvement, and that is what's going to set you apart from everybody else. You can definitely tell at public speaking who's practiced and who hasn't. And so, to do your best is to, try your best. And so you guys want to, practice and make sure you're putting your best self forward at the day of public speaking. So that's my biggest tip for you guys. Alrighty, and so for any this is the end of our little public speaking clinic for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me here at northwest.ambassador@4halberta.com. That's my ambassador email. I check it pretty regularly. So if you guys have any questions about club public speaking, district public speaking, or anything else, feel free to let me know. My job is to help clubs and to help districts with anything 4-H related. So feel free to fire me an email if you guys want, and have a great day. And hopefully you guys' public speaking season goes off without a hitch. And I'll see you guys at regional public speaking this year. All right, bye.